Howdy partners, it's so good to be here again to talk about films. 2025 has truly been a great year for horror, and indeed the horrors go well beyond the realm of cinema, but that is a very different story. In any case, here we are with yet another strange and ambitious horror film this year, this time with Weapons. This is the latest film from Zach Cregger, who's gained quite a bit of reputation for his last film Barbarian, a film which I admit I haven't seen. Is one of the few films that year that flew under my radar, but I have heard quite a lot of buzz about it, and is definitely on my watch list now. I might even watch it this weekend actually, and by some miracle I haven't been spoiled anything from this film. I did hear that there's quite a giant twist in this film that would be a shame if it did get spoiled, which it seems that Weapons follows suit in that regard, where even though I've seen the trailer, there's so much in this film that I just did not see coming. You're in for one hell of a surprise watching this film, so you can expect a no spoiler review for this. But what I can tell you is that the film immediately starts with quite a shocking mystery. One night at 2:17 a.m., 17 kids just get out of bed and run out of their house into the night to God knows where. And it just so happens that all these kids come from the same classroom. We see early on in the film the teacher walk into an empty classroom, well, empty save for one kid, who is visibly confused and disturbed. As you may imagine, the school and the parents in particular are in a total panic and desperate for any answers whatsoever. And so they focus their fears and emotions in pointing their fingers at the teacher, responsible for taking care of that classroom. As you can see, the film starts off as an exceptionally gripping missing persons thriller. It truly is inexplicable the way the kids all vanished at the same time in the same way. And unfortunately, the authorities aren't particularly inspiring. They don't bring any meaningful results to the table. And on that note, I gotta say the police force is criminally incompetent in this film. Personally, it strikes me as a little unrealistic and exaggerated, but it does give an opportunity for a protagonist, the teacher, played by Julie Garner, to take matters into her own hands. And she's not the only one who does that. One of the parents, played by Josh Brolin, also does the same. And the revelations they discover are rather bone-chilling. There are some genuinely unexpected twists in this film that will take you by surprise. Weapons is quite the clever genre bender where it slowly infuses horror elements into this thriller. It very strongly plays on your fear of the unknown, and the darkness in particular is quite enveloping. And then there's this incredible tension when it comes to the doors. They have almost this otherworldly aspect about them. And the film also has a habit of flirting with satire comedy. Things get totally out of control at one point to the point where you just can't help but laugh. A rather healthy reaction. There are some elements as well that are genuinely cringe. Once you've seen the film, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. And then maybe I'm the only one who thought this, but I just couldn't help but think of the Adam Driver meme, "Good soup." If you know, you know. It's not really a meaningful spoiler, but there you go, I just couldn't help but think about that. And then there's the way the kids run in this film, which on one hand is genuinely eerie, especially because of its frankly inexplicable nature, but at the same time I just couldn't help but chuckle because it genuinely looks like a Naruto run. It's a curious aesthetic choice that they made here. Another surprising element of this film is the structure. It is intriguing discovering the life of this victimized teacher and to follow her own investigation into what the hell is going on, but there still is the question of her innocence, which isn't exactly clear cut. And we do realize soon enough in the film that she's actually quite a heavy alcoholic, which isn't helping her case. And there are a few events in her past which could be problematic, especially given the current context. So it is a strong hook early on in the film that makes us question many things. And I genuinely thought we'd be following the teacher throughout the whole film, but no. The film has a very non-linear approach where we get to see the same few days through different character perspectives. Think of the way Magnolia has all these different characters who go about their days in parallel and their lives end up impacting each other, just in a very thriller horror context. The reveals and nuances of these chapters are intriguing, but to me they are a bit of a double-edged sword when it comes to the seesaw pacing of the film. It's already a bit of a slow burn by default, which isn't a bad thing, mind you, but in each one of these chapters, it builds to this climactic moment where everything comes to a screeching halt and we reset back to another character's perspective a few days back. And it actually happens a few times in the film, so it is quite a strong tease in a rather frustrating way. And I also find that some character arcs are weaker, the cop and the crackhead notably. And there's also Justin Long that appears in the film for a very, very brief moment, which felt like a bit of a wasted opportunity. I would have liked to see more of him in the film. And then, once again, without any spoilers, but I do find that the ending is half unsatisfactory. The build up to the climax and the shit that goes down, that's aces. You won't see me complain about that. It's really in the aftermath of the film where a lot does happen by the end, where I just can't help but wonder, like, what now? And then once again, I really struggle to talk about this without going into detail because I really don't want to give anything away, but there is the question of motivation of just Why did this happen? I'll leave it at that because I don't want to go any further. You guys should discover it for yourselves. But even with these few points of criticism, mainly concerning the uneven pacing, which does somewhat compound the slow burn nature of this film and how it reveals its mystery, once it does get going, damn! The climax of this film was nuts! I do find this to be a genuinely ambitious and in some ways novel film, which is why I'm gonna give it an 8.5 out of 10. We're on quite the win streak of interesting and creative horror films in 2025. Earlier this week I saw Together, which also rules and is an instant hit, and both nights we had a full house at the cinema and the crowd was reacting throughout the whole film. There was a real vibe at the theater, and at the end of both films, the crowd erupted in applause. Hell yeah! It's a good time to be at the cinema. So with all that being said, wishing you and your loved ones nothing but the best. Take care and talk to you soon.